Alright, as you can see, I'm on Lisa Cabrera's channel. Video atmospheric river hits Washington, floods and evacuations. I was watching this video, and one of the guys that was a witness, like you could tell, you could see the fear in his eyes, and he was like, this is a historic flood that's never been, like, from the time that they started keeping a record. It's absolutely crazy. Like, this is clearly what's been happening is judgment. Now, this is not to say that it's coming from infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. No, but it is being allowed, okay, for righteous purposes, all right, because it's cleansing. It's cleansing the earth, all right, which is biblical prophecy, all right. So let's go ahead and play a little bit of this.
Have never seen it get this bad before. And, you know, we've been hearing that all year long when these floods hit. So let's get started. Thank you for the ones.
This morning, historic flooding forcing thousands in Washington state to evacuate. New images capturing the devastation in the Pacific Northwest, including a home swept away. This video from the King County Sheriff's Office showing first responders rescuing people trapped in their homes by the high water. Houses, vehicles submerged.
This is historic flooding that goes all the way back till somebody started keeping a record.
See that? This is historic flooding that goes all the way back till somebody started keeping a record. Look at the fear in his eyes. He is floored. It's just like, this is crazy. It's unprecedented.
Vehicles submerged.
This is historic flooding that goes all the way back till somebody started keeping a record.
Our Trevor Alt in Burlington.
Look at the flooding in this neighborhood in Burlington. They told the entire town at 6 this morning to evacuate immediately. The National Guard was going door to door.
In Oregon, this massive landslide sweeping over the highway. Officials saying the damage will cause a long-term closure of the roadway. Monica Mendez showing video of the area where weeks ago she celebrated her son's second birthday. Now it's under feet of water.
And I'm just in shock, like trying to process everything that is like thinking about this party, like my family was just here.
Emergency shelters in Skagit County have become homes to entire families. Robert Gilkey and his family got out of their home as the water was rising.
We started packing our car and moving as much as we could upstairs, as quick as we could.
On Friday, President Trump signed a federal emergency declaration which will bring much needed federal aid to the area.
Mother Nature is at its best right now, showing us who's boss.
Well, it's not really Mother Nature. It is judgment. It is judgment. And the earth itself is sentient. So, yes, it will purge itself. It will purge itself. And if I can pretty much guarantee you, we look up the counties. Now, this is all over Washington State. But you see the predominant people that's affected by this is the, Caucasians. All right? And there's reason for that, all right? Because they do not want to admit the sins of their forefathers. They don't want to admit how they have literally squatted on indigenous land and have cared nothing about the indigenous people of this land.
Up to 100,000 people in the Pacific Northwest are being warned they may need to evacuate. Rivers have risen to record levels. The flooding has been catastrophic. Homes and roads underwater. Today, President Trump signing a federal emergency declaration for the area. Many people have already evacuated.
This is unlike anything we've seen in a long, long time. I think it's surpassed every flooding record we've had.
Today, residents in Burlington, north of Seattle, were told to evacuate immediately because of rising water from a nearby river. Washington's National Guard going door to door telling residents to get out. In Sumas, Washington, these new images of the Coast Guard rescuing victims trapped in homes surrounded by 8 to 10 feet of water. Survivors were hoisted onto helicopters and given medical aid. These drivers rescued by a Navy chopper, one of the drivers clinging onto a tree. 68-year-old William Elliott was rescued from his flooded home.
That's one of the hardest things I've had to do. Just pack a couple of backpacks and not knowing what you're going to find when you get back.
We have several breaking stories as we come on the air tonight. The Michigan...
And it is heartbreaking, you know? It ain't like I don't have compassion for these Caucasians. I do. But they have not had compassion upon me nor my people. This is why they're going through these judgments, to get them to question, to get them to go within, to get them to hear their conscience, to get them to repent of their sins.
Head football coach fired and now word of this arrest and new allegations, what we've learned. But we do begin tonight here with the state of emergency in Washington state. Look at the pictures coming in, catastrophic flooding. Up to 100,000 people have been told to be on alert to evacuate at a moment's notice. Raging waters, entire neighborhoods underwater tonight. Hundreds of National Guard members now activated. Black Hawk helicopters making water rescues. Another chopper was seen saving 2 drivers trapped in the rushing waters, airlifting them to safety. Tonight, we're also tracking a new Clipper system moving from Montana all the way to the East Coast. Dangerous driving in the Northeast. The school bus on its side in Vermont, trouble landing at the Rochester, New York airport. And with this storm, a new Arctic blast, wind chills below zero from Minnesota all the way to New York and right up to Maine. But we do start here with this emergency unfolding. ABC's Trevor Ault on the scene for us in Washington state tonight.
Tonight, rivers raging out of their banks across the Pacific Northwest. 100,000 residents warned to be ready to evacuate. More than a foot of rain already, and multiple rivers in Washington are in major flood stage.
Look at Issaquah Creek racing into the parking lot of this apartment complex here. Emergency workers came in after midnight to get everybody evacuated because the water level was rising so quickly.
Not far from here, first responders from Eastside Fire and Rescue and a Navy chopper working to save 2 drivers caught in the rapids, one of them found clinging to a tree. Blackhawks also making rescues. Swift water teams fanning out all across the impacted areas.
If you have instructions to evacuate from your local authorities, please.
Not one indigenous person anywhere in sight. This whole town seemed to be of nothing but Caucasians. Now, I'm not saying there are no indigenous people in this town, but I haven't seen not one yet.
Please evacuate.
Residents sandbagging along the Green River. Michael Patak and his brother using heavy equipment.
We're just trying to build a wall, like a little island perimeter around the property here, to keep the water out from the house.
And as rivers rise in the west, new rounds of snow slamming the Midwest and Great Lakes. Planes struggling to land in Rochester, New York. Some spots there could get up to a foot of snow in the next 48 hours with sub-zero wind chills right behind it.
And David, look at the Snohomish River raging here. They had built 33-foot levees to contain it. It just...
All right, hold on a second, people. I want to look up something right quick. I want to look up this county. Give me 1 second. They say black or African American population, a small percentage, roughly around 3.63%. All right. Now, see, now there's a reason for this. See, we were not allotted to live in their neighborhoods, okay? We were blacklisted. All right, in 2023, there were 20.2 times more white, non-Hispanic residents in Snohomish, Washington, than any other race or ethnicity. So you want to think that this is not judgment? Clearly, this is judgment. All right. 84.6%, 88% reported in the 2020 census, making them the vast majority in the small city within a larger, more diverse Snohomish County. See this? Computer lagging. And is considered wealthy. All right? Both city and county is considered wealthy, with high median household incomes, high property values, and being ranked among the wealthiest counties in Washington. Okay? Is a prosperous area due to proximity to Seattle and tech jobs. High income. Okay? Why is Snohomish so expensive? So I wanted to show you. Okay? This is the area where 100,000 face evacuations. Okay? This is judgment.
Climbed over the top of them as it shattered its record high water level. Some rivers in Washington won't even crest until tomorrow, and then even more rain is coming on Sunday. David.
Just awful scenes coming in from Washington. We're thinking about all those families. Trevor, thanks.
Looks like we now have a houseboat. Got about 6 feet of water underneath my house, maybe 7.
They have a houseboat. Wow. Bruh.
This is downtown Tacoma. Check this out. We are stuck in this building. It's crazy.
Listen to that water. Wow. Look at that. That is beautiful scenery.
A powerful atmospheric river continues to move through the Pacific Northwest, Western Washington taking the brunt of it. It led to a mudslide on I-90. This was near South Bend, Washington yesterday. What a mess. Look, that's scary too.
South Bend, Washington. Let's look that up. This is showing so-called African Americans making up less than 1%. Less than 1% while white non-Hispanic is around 70 to 80%. Hispanic Latino around 22%. But even they are basically Caucasians. Alright? So I'm just showing you. Where this judgment is hitting these counties. Hold on. I want to look and see the economy for South Bend, Washington. Okay, so it's not considered a wealthy city. It is a smaller rural community in Pacific County, known more for its oysters and lower than average cost of living compared to expensive Washington areas, with a mix of retirees and families rather than significant wealth. All right. That's still quite a bit. $9.12 per month to rent. And that's probably like a studio or a one-bedroom apartment.
There was an SUV and a box truck that got caught up in that debris flow. Thankfully, first responders say everyone was able to exit their vehicles safely. Last night on Fox Weather Live, Steve Bender spoke with Fox 13 Seattle meteorologist Claire Anderson about this powerful storm.
It's not abnormal to see flooding. We see it every year, but when you see the accumulation of this much rain, several days of it, and then going out into these floodplains, that's the problem we're seeing. It's the amount of moisture over these quick amount of days that are really creating problems, and the warm temperatures, which a lot of this rain in a cooler condition would be snow staying in the mountain.
Not the case. This is all rain. And the next round that comes through, also an AR4 next week, expected to come from a warm source. Estimated rainfall totals for the past 3 days are impressive. More than a foot of fresh rain in some cases along the Olympic Peninsula, closer to the foothills of the Cascades. And then we talked about this yesterday. Remember I was talking about the snow levels at 4,000 feet going up to 8,000 feet for Idaho and Montana? Look what's happened. A ton of rain there, so flooding concerns there. They're not in the cold sector. That is going to be for the eastern part of Montana. Meantime, back to Washington State, we've had a number of places recording more than a foot of fresh rain. You look at not only the Olympic Peninsula, but a lot of places from King County up through Skagit River Valley. The river continues to overflow, and a lot of people are watching. Evacuations may be happening quickly, and be ready to move if told to do so. Here's the moisture source. It's coming from just north of the Hawaiian Islands. Hawaiian Islands sitting close to almost 2,500 miles away from Seattle. But the moisture fetch, the atmospheric river, the water vapor is going that far. And since it's originating in a warmer area, the snow levels are way up about 7,000 to 8,000 feet. That is still a concern today. Any snow that is at the higher elevations is also flooding. Dozens of rivers we continue to watch. Communities close to rivers we continue to watch in the days ahead, because we've got a break finally as we go through late Friday into Saturday, but we're not done with it just yet. And take a look at what we've got going on here as well. That atmospheric river, the moisture is making it all the way to Idaho, but you can see where the cold air is in place. So that's not snow for Idaho. That is all rain. Now, as we look ahead through Friday, we'll add an additional up to 5 inches of fresh rain for the foothills, and locally 2 to 3 for the lower line areas. For Puget Sound, about 1 to 3, but it is already saturated the ground. We've got waves of energy that come through. Again, we get a very brief break for the weekend, but look what happens next week. Looking at the AR scale for next week, it is scheduled to be at about a 4 out of 5, and that does mean a lot of moisture for a long duration. Please be prepared to evacuate if told to do so. We'll watch this as we go through the next 2 weeks.
Why would the God of love allow that to happen? Is it because the God of love is evil and doesn't have compassion? No. It's simply because we all have to reap what we sow and deal with what is within our mentality and our heart condition. All right? And when catastrophic events like this happen, that's when people begin to go within their conscience. That's when people begin to seek the God of love and compassion. All right? So for quite a long time, a great vast majority of these people have not had to seek the God of love and compassion, all right, for deliverance. No, because they've had their money and materialistic things they haven't wanted or needed for anything, all right? So because of these catastrophic events, now they're having to question some things. They're having to reevaluate some things. So this is the reason that the God of loving compassion, kindness, mercy, and empathy will allow these catastrophic events. All right? So that people will begin to seek. All right? And in seeking, they will find and hopefully repent. It gives them an opportunity. All right? It's all opportunity. Okay? This judgment is allotted for an opportunity to change your mentality and your heart condition. Okay? And unfortunately for a lot of these people, their time is up. All right? They've had all of this time to listen to us, listen to the oppressed, listen to those who have been going through this great tribulation for generations. Okay? Many of these people have watched our tribulation and they have not had any compassion. All right? So why should the God of love and compassion show any love and compassion unto them? They don't have it within themselves. So this is something that they're going to have to seek and obtain. All right? But this is the reason why it's allotted. Not because a God of love and compassion, kindness, mercy, empathy is evil. No. How else will these people ever humble themselves? How else will they ever come to find that their money and materialistic things ain't gonna help save them? See, this is the reason that the God of love and compassion allows this to happen. Okay? Look, that's another house just floating away. Look how big that house is. Do you think these people will ever have imagined in a million years that their whole big ass house would be floating down a river?
This morning, historic flooding forcing thousands in Washington state to evacuate. New images capturing the devastation in the Pacific Northwest, including a home swept away. This video from the King County Sheriff's Office showing first responders rescuing people trapped in their homes by the high water. Houses, vehicles submerged.
This is historic flooding that goes all the way back till somebody started keeping a record.
Our Trevor Ault in Burlington.
Look at the flooding in this neighborhood in Burlington. They told the entire town at 6 this morning to evacuate immediately. The National Guard was going door to door.
In Oregon, this massive landslide sweeping over the highway. Officials saying the damage will cause a long-term closure of the roadway. Monica Mendez showing video of the area where weeks ago she celebrated her son's second birthday. Now it's under feet of water.
And I'm just in shock, like trying to process everything that is like.
So you see, people, it's sad, all right? And I do feel for these people, all right? But hopefully they will, go within themselves, Don't blame the God of love and compassion, no. Find out why the God of love and compassion allowed this to happen, okay? Because clearly there's a reason, all right? Everything happens for a reason. Let's listen to the final message from Lisa Cabrera. Her commentary.
All right, y'all. But, the sad part is they're not even out of the woods yet, because they got snow in their forecast coming. So it's not even over for them. So on top of all of this 15 feet of of water, they just got dumped on them over the last several days. They're now getting a round of snow. So it's going to get even more devastating for them. It's a shame.
Yes.
But the disasters are more frequent, and it seems like they have gotten worse. I don't care where they hit in this country. Everybody is saying the same thing that gets hit with these disasters, that they have gotten far worse.
Unprecedented. It's been getting worse and worse. And this is biblical prophecy.
Than anything they have seen in their lifetime. And it is true. It is absolutely true. Well, let's see here. David Boyd, 7043. Thank you for the new channel membership. In fact, you got.
All right, that's all we're gonna listen to on that. All right, now, give me a second, people. If I can find what I'm looking for here, let me go ahead and switch over here. I'm gonna make this very, very quick. Give me a second, people. My computer being slow as heck. Come on, computer. Give me a second. Sorry, people. I'm dealing with my slow PC. We already had that mass burning of many cities. There's a reason that the God of love is allowing this. Okay, y'all need to know this. I'm not getting into who exactly is doing. I mean, clearly, you know, there's a lot of evidence that's, you know, these worst of the heathen, you know, they do these things in order to you know, bring about their agenda. Okay, so you know, I'm not saying that it's not being done by men, but it's being allotted. Okay, they're like, what people don't understand is that there's higher powers outside of this physical reality. Okay, so clearly, if the God of love did not want something to happen, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, now let me switch you over here. All right, Thanksgiving for deliverance, Psalms 107, all right, through 150. Give thanks to eternal benevolence, for he is good. His loving devotion endures forever. Let the redeemed of eternal benevolence say so, whom he has redeemed from the hand of the enemy and gathered from the lands, from the east and west, from north and south. Some wandered in desert wastelands, finding no path to a city in which to dwell. They were hungry and thirsty. Their soul fainted within them. Then they cried out to infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent in their trouble. And he delivered them from their distress. He led them on a straight path to reach a city where they could live. Let them give thanks to infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent for his loving devotion and his wonders to the sons of men. For he satisfies the thirsty and fills the hungry with good things. Some sat in darkness and in the shadow of death, prisoners in affliction and chains, because they rebelled against eternal benevolence and despised the counsel of infinite loving kindness. Therefore, he has to allow these things to happen, okay? So, when this says he humbled their hearts with hard labor, this just means that he did not spare them from reaping the consequences of their evil actions. All right? There's malevolent forces just waiting to enslave the people of infinite loving kindness. Okay? We have a God. Okay? Our God is infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. But when we disobey our God, and we end up going contrary to the instruction of our God, then that leaves us open to be prey for those who also rebel against our God. Okay? Now, so we end up having our hearts humbled with hard labor, where we stumble, and there is no one to help. Why is there no one to help? Because infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent allows us to reap the consequences of our actions. He only saves and protects those who are obedient. Okay? Then they cried out to infinite loving kindness in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress. Now, when this says, then they cried out, this means they humbled themselves and they repented and they turned from their transgressions. It wasn't just vainly professing out your mouth just because you're crying that eternal benevolence will deliver you. No, you got to make a conscious choice to turn from your evil actions and choose to be righteous. Then he will deliver you from your trouble. Okay? He brought them out of darkness. How can he bring you out of darkness when you're wanting to still participate in darkness? That's an oxymoron. He might as well just leave you in the darkness until you decide that you want to turn from the darkness and be righteous. Now, when you decide to turn from the darkness and be righteous, then he will deliver you from the darkness. Okay? So he will bring them out of darkness and the shadow of death and broke away their chains. Okay, this is what's happening for us who are righteous in these days. Okay? Let them give thanks to infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent for his loving devotion and his wonders to the sons of men. For he has broken down the gates of bronze and cut through the bars of iron. Fools in their rebellious ways, and through their iniquities suffered affliction. They loathed all food. Okay, and when it says they loathed all food, that's the righteousness. That's the good fruits of the Spirit. Okay, they loathe the fruits of the Spirit. Let's look up this term, loathe. That means hate. Okay, despise. All right, they despise love. They despise compassion. They despise kindness, mercy, empathy, generosity, purity, holiness, righteousness. They despise this. Okay? They hate, they detest, abhor, despise, abominate. Okay? You see this? It's like a yuck factor, disgust, hostility, animosity. Why are you so angry against the meek, tender-hearted, vessels of mercy? Oh, it's because we are the light that reveals the devils. They can't hide. You can't hide around the light. You can't hide around the authentic. The hypocrites are revealed in the light of the righteous. This is why they despise us, because they can't hide around us. They fear the light because their deeds are exposed. Everyone who does evil hates the light and does not come into the light for fear that their deeds would be exposed. Okay? Why was I despised all my life for my childlike mentality and heart condition concerning not caring about money and materialistic things? Because it exposed selfishness in the mentality and heart condition of my family. This is why they despised me. Okay? It exposed their selfish mentality and heart condition. All right? And now is extended to practically everybody around me because I'm very vocal about how I don't have a heart and or mentality geared after getting money. All right? So this automatically makes me considered to be a leech. All right? But if you are considering me to be a leech, then that means that you have a selfish mentality. Okay? It is exposing your evil deeds. All right? You shutting up your bowels of compassion, don't want to help me because I refuse to earn money for a living? That's an evil deed. Because who is it that's really requiring money from all humanity? It's not the poor. It's not the meek, tender-hearted vessels of mercy that happen to be born in fleshly bodies. Okay? So they loathe the righteous fruits of the Spirit. Okay? And this is what I have in abundance. All right? I have love. For real, for real. In my mentality and my heart condition. Okay? I have compassion within my mentality and my heart condition. I have kindness in my mentality and my heart condition. I have mercy, empathy, generosity, purity, holiness, righteousness, goodness, all things benevolent within my mentality and my heart condition. And my actions are lined up in accordance to the fruits of the Spirit. Okay? This is real eternal wealth. Okay? And this is the fruit of the Spirit that these people are loathing. All right? So therefore they draw near to the gates of death. Then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble. He ain't going to save them from their distress unless they humble themselves, repent, and begin to atone for those who they have mistreated. Okay? Then he will save them from their distress. All right? And he will send forth his word and heal them. His word is the benevolent conscience. That's the living word by way of the Spirit. Okay? The truth will set you free. The truth heals you. Okay? The living word will heal you if you're able to receive it and apply it to your life and live it. Yes, it will save you. All right? And you will be rescued from the pit. How can you be rescued from the pit when you are not even viewing it as a pit? You're viewing it as Pleasure Island. Woohoo! Let's just all have fun, have a good time, live it up. Let's live lavishly in our carnal flesh. You're too busy enjoying yourself to realize that you're living in a pit. Therefore, how can he rescue you? We're here trying to rescue you, and you see us as a nuisance. Let them give thanks to eternal benevolence and his loving devotion and his wonders to the sons of men. Let them offer righteous sacrifices of thanksgiving. Okay? Not bloody sacrifices. Okay? Killing the innocent. All right? Inflicting pain and misery. All right? No. Not bloody sacrifices, but righteous sacrifices of thanksgiving. Okay? Righteous sacrifices. All right? That means fasting. Okay? Fasting from things of the flesh. That's a righteous sacrifice. And declare his works with rejoicing. Okay? Others went out to sea in ships, conducting trade on the mighty waters. That's the Atlantic Ocean. They saw the works of eternal benevolence and his wonders in the deep. For he spoke and allowed a tempest that lifted the waves of the sea. The tempest is a storm. All right? They mounted up to the heavens, then sunk to the depths. Their courage melted in their anguish. See, you can only be proud and arrogant on top of the world when you ain't got no problems. All right? When you ain't got no tribulation. So you don't think about those who are currently, constantly going through oppression and tyranny, tribulation and poverty, when you got all the money and the materialistic things. All right? You feeling all high and mighty about yourself. All right? But all of that will flood away from you. Your courage will melt away from you in your anguish when all of that is taken from you in a moment. All right? They reeled and staggered like drunkards, and all their skill was useless. All right? What is your skill? Like, you go to school for all of these things to earn your money for a living, but how is that going to help you when that whole way of living is just done away with? When you know, the reality is going to change from being centered around earning money for a living to what's within your mentality and your heart condition. All that you learned is going to be useless. Then they cried out to infinite loving kindness in their trouble, repented, all right, turned from their transgressions, and then he brought them out of their distress. And people, you got to understand that this is not right away, okay? Because clearly, I've been being obedient for over 7 years, okay? Wholeheartedly, okay? Little bit by little bit as I applied the living word to my life and been living it, okay? And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to constantly live according to your conscience, especially when you're living in a world where practically everybody around you is living according to their flesh, okay? They don't care nothing about the conscience. But when you live according to the conscience, I mean, you're held to a higher standard, okay? You have more responsibility, all right, because you know, you are aware, okay? So, it doesn't mean that we don't have to endure. This is why the scripture talks about enduring, all right? The saints are enduring. All right, we're enduring persecution. We're enduring being debased and ignored. Okay, treated as if we're worthless. All right, we're enduring all of this. Okay, so and this is all while we're being obedient. All right, now I know that I'm going to be delivered, but I'm not delivered yet. I mean, I'm delivered mentally and spiritually, yes. But I'm still up under this physical captivity. I just had to pay this apartment complex money, okay? In order to have food, you gotta have money, all right? In order to buy TP and paper towels and cleaning supplies, you gotta have money, okay? in this false ass reality, this is being required from me. All right, so I'm still up under this oppression and tyranny. Okay? Enduring. All right? He calmed the storm to a whisper, and the waves of the sea were hushed, and they rejoiced in the silence, and he guided them to the harbor they desired. See? This is the peace that he's given me. All right? And I follow the leading of the Spirit. Okay? Let them give thanks to infinite loving kindness for his loving devotion and his wonders to the sons of men. Let them exalt him in the assembly of the people and praise him in the council of the elders. All right, and he will allow rivers to turn into deserts, springs of water into thirsty ground, and fruitful land into fields of salt, because of the wickedness of his dwellers. Okay? He allows a desert into pools of water, and a dry land into flowing springs. He causes the hungry to settle there, that they may establish a city in which to dwell. Okay? They sow fields and plant vineyards that yield a fruitful harvest. He blesses them, and they multiply greatly. He does not let their herds diminish. When they are decreased and humbled by oppression, evil, and sorrow, he will allow contempt to be poured out on the nobles and have them wandering in a trackless wasteland. Okay, this was coming for the worst of the heathen. Okay, but he lifts the needy from affliction. Okay, he is the God of the slaves. He's the God of the oppressed. Okay, he is not the God of the wealthy. He is not the God of those who set themselves in authority and being evil. Okay? And he increases their family like flocks. The upright see. Okay, clearly, because I see this, clearly I'm upright in my mentality and my heart condition, regardless of the ideology of mortal men. Okay? The upright see and rejoice, and all iniquity shuts his mouth. Let him who is wise pay heed to these things, and consider the loving devotion of eternal benevolence. Alright? Now, we're going to get into the apocalypse of Abraham, the punishment of the heathen. All right? Number one, the pain of great distress. Okay? Number two, massive burning and destruction of many cities. All right? We've seen this. All of this. Number three, the destruction and pestilence of animals. Number four, hunger of the whole world and its people. Okay? Practically all over the earth, there's starving people. Okay? 5, destruction among the rulers. Alright? By earthquakes. Okay? Number 6, multiplication of hail and snow. Number 7, animals and wild beasts will kill people. Okay? That's already been increasing. Number 8, hunger and pestilence will alternate with their destruction. Number 9, punishment by the sword and flight in much distress. Number 10, thunder and voices and a very destructive earthquake. Okay? There's been a lot of this happening. All right. Also, I want to get This is in Baruch too. I needed it from a Baruch. Give me just a second. Apocalypse. Is this the Apocalypse of Baruch? I need the Apocalypse of Baruch. That talks about the plagues, the attack of the Shadim and all of that. Hold on, people. I don't want my computer lagging on me. Hopefully this doesn't. I guess I gotta bring up the PDF. Because I don't think I have a screenshot of it. Let's see here. Is this it? I don't know which one it is. Okay, yeah. Okay, attack of the Shadim. I don't know how to spell it. Attack of the Shadim. I don't know how I'm gonna find this. Hold on, people. How do I find this, man? Let's see. I'm not trying to freaking scroll forever. All this is introduction. Give me a second, people. Okay. Copy. Oops. All right. Okay, thank you. Finally. God. What the hell happened? Hold on, people. Alright, there it is. Finally. Took forever to find it. Okay, hold on. Alright. So, into 12 parts is that time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. In the first part, there will be the beginning of commotions. And the second part, there will be slayings of the great ones. And in the third part, there will be the fall of many by death. And in the fourth part, the sending of desolation. And in the fifth part, famine and the withholding of rain. And in the sixth part, earthquakes and terrors. 8, wanting. Alright? 9. And in the 8th part, this is verse 9. And in the 8th part, a multitude of portents and incursions of the Shadim. Alright? This is your spiritual realm. Alright? This is your apparitions. Okay? Your sightings, such as, werewolves or freaking Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster or whatever. These types of things, okay? And in the 9th part, the fall of fire. And in the 10th part, rapine. Okay, that's casting people out of their homes by brute force. All right, and much oppression. And in the 11th part, wickedness and unchastity. Okay, and in the 12th part, confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid. All right. For these parts of that time are reserved, and will be mixed one with another, and will minister one to another. All right. For some will of themselves be of service, and they will receive from others, and from themselves and others they will be perfected, so that they may not understand who are upon the earth in those days of this consummation of the times of the Gentiles. Nevertheless, whosoever shall understand will then be wise. Okay? I'm not considered wise by the wisdom of this world. No, I'm considered to be ignorant. Okay? And then I will sound the trumpet out of the air, and I will send my elect one, having in him all of my power, one measure, and this one shall summon all of my despised people from the nations. All right? And all who fought against us will be burnt with fire. Okay? Now that fire is not literal. That fire, okay, you know when you're angry, how you feel burnt up inside? Okay? Well, imagine that like 1,000,000-fold times over. Okay? When you come face to face with who you really are, and you know goddamn well you're evil, you know damn well you've been oppressing the meek, you've been oppressing the tenderhearted, you've been oppressing those of us that are actually righteous. Well, when you come face to face with this realization and you can no longer run from it, you gonna be burned up from the inside out. Your conscience gonna be on fire. Okay? You ain't gonna be able to run from yourself. Okay? That's what that's meaning, okay? That you're going to be burned alive by your own damn iniquity, okay? All who have insulted us and who have ruled among us in this age, okay? So that's all the people who have had their money and their materialistic things. They have power and might in their hands to help relieve our suffering, but they chose to shut up their bowels of compassion. They chose not to show love. They chose not to show mercy and empathy. They chose not to be generous. They chose not to show generosity. Okay? They chose to be selfish and shut up their bowels of compassion unto the meek, tender-hearted vessels of mercy. Okay? And so that's going to burn them up when they come face to face with that realization. All right? Chapter 31. And then I will sound the trumpet out of the air. All right? The trumpet, we're blowing the trumpets. Okay? I will sound the trumpet out of the air. That's the living word by way of the Spirit. All right? That's the benevolent conscience being spoken through the living witnesses. Okay? We have been humiliated by the heathen. All right? Therefore, all who have humiliated us will be burnt up with fire. Those who mocked us and ruled over us in this age. All right? And he's going to deliver those who have covered. He's going to deliver us. He's going to deliver us who have been covered in mockery, all right, over to the scorn of the coming age. It says because he didn't prepare them to be food for the fires of Hades. They prepared themselves to be food for the fires of Hades. All right, because we've all had control over our own actions. Okay? So when you choose to do an evil action, it automatically comes with consequences. And if you choose not to face the consequences of your actions, all right, and deal with it, all right, willingly, overturning it, then you're gonna deal with the consequences unwillingly. Okay? You gonna reap what the hell you've been sowing. Okay? That's inevitable. It's an eternal law that ain't never gonna change. Okay? No amount of blood sacrifice is gonna save you from reaping the consequences of your actions. Okay? All that's gonna do is increase your condemnation. All right? So you're going to be food for the fires of Hades, and to be ceaseless soaring in the air of the underworld regions of the uttermost depths. All right? To be the contents of a wormy belly. All right? That's that endless worm that never dies. That constant reminder of how you rejected infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent for your own selfishness. All right? Temporary money and materialistic things. Okay? You gonna feel like a fool at that moment in time. Okay? You gonna have to live with it. Okay? Alright, because all of this time you've been trying to make me feel like I'm a fool. I'm a fool because I don't care about temporary money and materialistic things. But I have a heart and mentality full of love, compassion, kindness, mercy, empathy, generosity. All of these things, that's eternal. That's eternal wealth. Alright? That's eternal wealth. You want to shame me for having eternal wealth, while you focus on the material wealth. This is why you're going to have a contents of a wormy belly. For the makers will see in them justice. The makers who have chosen my desire and manifestly kept my commandments. And we will rejoice with merrymaking. All right? And we're not going to rejoice over the downfall of the men who remain and who followed after the idols. No, we're not going to rejoice over your downfall. We're going to rejoice over our redemption. All right? And we're going to pity you in your downfall. Okay? I'm not going to rejoice over anybody's suffering. No, I pity you. I pity you for your ignorance. Okay? I pity you for your ignorance. All of you who followed after idols and after their murders. All right? For they shall putrefy in the belly of the crafty worm Azazel, and be burned by the fire of Azazel's tongue. All right? Azazel's tongue, that's your accuser. All right? Azazel is going to be the one accusing you. Yeah, I had this nigga doing this and this and this and this and that. He ain't gonna hold nothing back. All right? He gonna be accusing you, and he ain't gonna be silenced. All right? Because you were his foot soldier. Okay? You chose to be Azazel's foot soldier. All right? For I waited so they might come to me, and they did not deny to. And they glorified an alien god. Okay? You glorify the blood god. Alright? And they joined one to whom they had not been allotted. Okay? And they abandoned infinite loving kindness, who allotted them strength. Okay? We were given freedom of choice. Alright? We had the ability to choose righteousness. But, most people chose wickedness, all right, in order to save themselves, in order to spare themselves. Okay? Therefore hear Abraham and see, behold, your seventh generation shall go with you, and they will go out into an alien land, and they will be enslaved and oppressed. All right? As for 1 hour of that impious age, but of the nation whom they shall serve, I am the judge. And infinite loving kindness said this too. Have you heard, Abraham, what I told you that what your tribe will encounter in these last days? Abraham having heard and accepted the words of infinite loving kindness in his heart. Now this is what we've been enduring for centuries, for generations, and now we've been awakened by way of the Spirit. All right? And now that we are awakened by way of the Spirit, the light has come into the world. But men love darkness rather than the light because their deeds are evil. And everyone who does evil hates the light and does not come into the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. But whosoever practices the truth comes into the light so that it may be seen clearly what he has done and has been accomplished in infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. All right? The night is nearly over. The day has drawn near. So let us lay aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. If anyone claims to be in the light but hates his brother, he is still in darkness. Whoever loves his brother remains in the light, and there is no cause of stumbling in him. But whoever hates his brother is in the darkness and walks in the darkness. He does not know where he is going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Okay? It's not infinite loving kindness that blinds people. No, they're blinded by their own arrogance, okay? Because it's a combination of things, all right? Not only is it is your wickedness, is your arrogance, all right? It is your refusal to face your responsibility. It is your refusal to accept accountability for your actions, for your deeds, okay? So that's what that is, okay? It is your own damn darkness that blinds your eyes, okay? The way of the wicked is like the darkest gloom. They do not know what makes them stumble. But I can tell you what's making you stumble, okay? And I can back it up with scripture. And I'm about to get off of here. Alright, this is a little over an hour. I'm about to get off of here. And this is going to probably be the last one. All right. Verily I say unto you, this is going to be from the Gospel of the Holy 12, the Last Supper. All right. Verily, verse 9, verily I say unto you, for this end have I come into the world, that I may put away all blood offerings and the eating of the flesh of the beast and the birds that are slain by men. In the beginning, infinite loving kindness gave to all the fruits of the trees and the seeds and the herbs for food. But those who love themselves more than infinite loving kindness or their fellows corrupted their ways and brought diseases into their bodies. When you break down that word disease, that's dis-ease. You're dis-ease. diseased because you are contrary to the original diet that we were given in the beginning. Okay, so you are diseased in your body. Okay, and it has helped to fill the earth with lust and violence. Okay, so not by shedding innocent blood, therefore, but by living a righteous life, shall you find the peace of infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. You call me the Christ of eternal benevolence, and you say, well, for I am the way, the truth, and the life. Walk ye in the way, and you shall find infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. Seek you the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Live in the life, and you shall see no death. All things are alive in infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. And the spirit of infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent filleth all things. Keep you the commandments. Love infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent with all your heart. And love your neighbor as thyself. On these hang all the law and the prophets, and the sum of the law is this: do not do unto others as you would not that others should do unto you. Do for others as you would that others should do for you. Blessed are they who keep this law. For infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent is manifested in all creatures, and all creatures live in infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent. And infinite loving kindness and all things that's benevolent is hid in them. Okay? So it's on us, people. All right? Quit looking outside yourself for a savior, for a redeemer. Okay? In essence, we are our own savior. We're our own redeemer because we were given a freaking choice. Okay? We were given a choice. And we're all going to reap according to our choice. All right? It's utter asinine to live a life of selfishness and think that you're going to go to heaven. How, Sway? How? Is selfishness benevolent? No, it's not. Okay? That's what the adversary was all about. He was all about himself. Okay? So the adversary deceived the whole damn world. All right? So, on that note, I mean, I could keep going, people, but, you know, I'm going to get off my soapbox, okay? I'm going to go ahead and end it there. All right? Because, you know, I ain't trying to keep this video too long. But, I do want to say that, you know, when I mention race, ethnicity, all right, when I mention, you know, Caucasians and or whatever, it's not in hatred, okay? It ain't in animosity or anything like that, all right? But we have to address these things, okay? There is a great sin that has yet to be dealt with, okay? So you can't keep gaslighting us and calling us hateful racists, calling us evil, when we're still living through the oppression and tyranny that your forefathers have wrought upon us and that you inherited, okay? You inherited all the blessings, all the money, and the materialistic things that your forefathers obtained through raping, robbing, murdering, plundering, pillaging, enslaving, reclassifying, and literally perpetually oppressing us, whom you want to call African Americans. Okay? We're not Africans. We're the true Americans. Okay? We're the original Americans. Okay? So, a second. You see this? 1828 definition of American. All right? A native of America. All right? No, damn well it was originally applied to the autogenous, indigenous, aboriginal people or the copper-colored races found here by the Caucasians, all right, found here by the Europeans. And the original Europeans also looked like us, okay? They were considered dark-skinned like us, okay? It wasn't until later that the lighter-skinned Europeans were arriving, brung by those who looked like us, okay? People who looked like us established the Caucasians in colonies upon this land. Okay? They put them in this land. All right? So you got to understand that this is we're not going based on just skin color. It's not just about skin color. The problem is there is a people that is now being called Americans that are not the seed of this land. But the seed of this land is no longer considered Americans. Now we're considered Africans. That's a problem. Okay? It's a problem. It's a problem that you're calling us Africans. It's a problem that you're acting like it's a problem that the Caucasians are acting like this is their land. But we're Africans. Okay? That's a problem. That's an upside down, backwards ass reality. Okay? So, this is going to have to be remedied, people. All right? You're going to have to realize that we are the indigenous people of this land. We were the first upon this land. Okay? We're the seed of this land. And it's time to restore us everything that's been stolen from us and our land. Okay? It's time to return. It's time to restore. All right? On that note, shalom.